Hello awesome viewers, welcome to AC Studio. In this video, we're gonna look at the latest release from Joytoy, the Ultramarines Lieutenant with Power Fist. Initially, I wasn't intend to get this figure because it is just another Space Marine, but you know, it is not too expensive, but I haven't got any typical Space Marine with a Power Fist, so I decided to get one anyway. This is just a typical box, as you can see, and in the back it tells you, you know, what kind of accessories it got. Good thing is it got this helmet. So let's have a look at the figure then. Base, and that's how it looks like inside the box. Alright, learning from past experience, you know, the first thing I'll do with any of the Joytoy figures I got is to look at the quality issue. For example, like loose head, loose hand, whatever. So I had a look. This one can rotate, which is good because some of the figures I got, like the exhaust is glued and stuck, so it cannot really rotate. So this one you can rotate, which is good. Solder joint, yep, it's very good, yep. And then everything seems okay. Yep. Yep, okay, right, looks alright. And that, okay. And oh, well, what happened here? So this decoration, or the badge, the link is broken here. So, anyway, I'll see if I can fix it with super glue. But it's a little bit tricky here because this is actually where the movement is, right? So if you want to kick this leg up, right, this thing will always shift down or shift up. This joint will always come off again next time. And I don't think I found any other issues. So let's have a look at the accessories first before we go on to the details. So we got a helmet, a spare bionic hand, a plasma pistol, and a sword. And once again, Joytoy did really well, you know. On the tip, there is a very shiny silver color to a much more darker kind of a gunmetal color. So the transition looks really nice. As you can see under the legs here, looks beautiful here, right? And it got a very nice guard, or the cross, below the handle. And you got a skull motto there as well, and I really love this very unique detail. So you see a little gap there, right, in between the cross and the bracket, I guess, for the shoulder of the sword handle. Very nice handle as well. So, alright. And then we have the plasma pistol, and this, you know, is the same plasma pistol from the recent Space Marines. If my memory is correct, that comes with the Tet Marine, I think. And you got this bionic hand. The bionic hand looks really nice. It is actually a different sculpt as compared to the Tet Marine as well. So if you look at the Tet Marine one, see, it looks different. And lastly, the helmet. So the helmet of the Lieutenant has the red and white strips, and then the gold iron sculpt. And then the eyes also paint in metallic red. So yep, alright, very nice. And then we look at the figure itself. Let's look at the head first. You know, the head sculpt is absolutely amazing in this figure. Details are very, very fine. Both the raise and recess details are very refined in the sculpt of this figure. And it even got the wrinkles, you know, on the eyelid itself here, right? So that's absolutely amazing, right? I noticed that on Joytoy figures, right, not all head sculpt has the same level of details. And I reckon that the details of this head is, you know, equally as good as the first generation of the Blade Guard veterans. You know? So let me show you this. So I keep all the parts in this box here. And if you look at some of the head sculpt, right, for example, look at one of this one, I couldn't remember which head belongs to which figure. So this is one of the many head sculpt that I got here. And then we got another one here. You see, this one's not as refined. The details are not as sharp, right? And look at this one, you see this one's not that great, you know, like the details are quite clumsy, right? Aren't very sharp here. And if you look at the Blade Guard veterans, right, the first generation of Blade Guard veterans, you see the details are extremely fine here, right? You see the beard, you know, like the wrinkles on the eyes as well. So in this one, You see, it is equally as good as the Blade Guard, or even better. So this head sculpt, when you compare to the other figures that I got here, they are very good. And then at the back you got this halo thingy. You got a sculpt model here with the bolts, and also the same detail applies to the back as well. Very nice. And you cannot pull this out, this stuck with the backpack together. But on the backpack here, what is going on here? Why there's a gap there again, So basically they're using the same backpack as Intercessor number 2, just like this Intercessor number 3. You see the same backpack, and that comes from Intercessor number 2. Yep, so they did not do anything on the backpack. And on my figure, the left shoulder is rather loose, I don't know why, and the right one is a little bit better. And the left shoulder, you got this little shield piece here. So on this, you got the Ultra, which is also a print, not a recessed sculpt lattice. Acrylic looks clean and nice. The bionic arm, at first I thought that this is the same sculpt as the Tet Marine, but in fact it is not the same. So if you look at the Tet Marine here, it is a different sculpt. You can see they have different details, and also what they did right is they actually add a extra swivel joint, so you can rotate it like that, which is very good. Whereas the Tet Marine, you cannot rotate at all. It doesn't have these extras, a rotation here, right? So you can only rely on the bicep swivel. So this is an extra articulation. And as I mentioned before, the hand here is a different sculpt compared to the Tet Marine as well. And then you got this very nice power fist. So this is the first Space Marine figure that I got. Got the power fist, and I really love this Laurel Wreath. That looks really nice with the iron cross in the middle as well. And having this make this whole power fist looks much better. Yeah, and you got this like bolts detail here as well. They also paint the joint in silver color. And the pipe is not a soft plastic pipe, rather it's actually very hard. And then you got this, apron, or so-called the cingulum, and this is actually rather hard for some reason. It's actually harder than most of the most recent figures, right? So if you want to move the legs up, you kind of like give it a bit of resistance. And also, you got this, a gun sleeve here, right? So it further block the legs from moving up as well. And on the other leg, right, you can push it up too. If when you push it up, just be careful with this, you'll break it. In a way, all these items here kind of like stopping the legs from moving high up. So you need to be careful when you handle the legs, movement. Don't kick it up too high. And lastly, you got the Laurel Wreath again on the left leg. So nice detail. Alright, but otherwise, the figure is pretty much the same as an ordinary Space Marine figures. So what makes it different from the other figures is the bionic arm and the power fist. In terms of articulation, there are some minor differences as compared to this one with the version 3 figures. They have the clicking mechanism here, right? So it actually clicks, but it seems like the gauge for each click, right, is actually finer as compared to this. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gauge, and that one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of 5 gauge, right? 5 click. So when you move these, you feel like it's actually finer and also easier to move as well. It's actually quite smooth. So I think they have made a difference on the joint design. But also there is one minor issue with this figure as well. Because this pipe is a hard plastic pipe, right? Pipe is connecting the middle elbow joint here together with this. So this and this virtually, because they're connected here, right, it's actually one piece. So when I move it, right, I notice that when I move it, I actually moving the upper elbow joint here, not the lower elbow joint. The lower elbow joint cannot move because of this, fixing these two together. So you can only move the upper shoulder joint. But I don't think it will make a huge difference as well, because this is so bulky anyway. So when you move it, right, you cannot move much anyway. And lastly, let's have a look whether it is hard to pull this head out and exchange with the helmet. So what happened? This joint reminds me of the earlier figures, and I thought that Joytoy has improved on the head recently, right? It's actually quite easy to pull out, but this is actually very hard. Back to this, older generation figures. All right, finally done it. And then let's push this helmet down. what's wrong with this figure? Why they're so, oh my god, it's just...
One eternity later.
After a long time, I finally able to push it in. So with the helmet, it looks equally as good. I really love the helmet because I don't think I got a Lieutenant before, and so this is my first figure with the red and white strips on the helmet. If you look at the way it holds the sword, right? You know, it doesn't look like it is really completely holding the sword, so you can see that doesn't look that realistic. Alright, but otherwise, if you look at the figure itself, I would say this figure looks really good. And in terms of painting, what they have done, they did apply the black shadowing on the figure itself, so it does feel like Intercessor number 2, which I really like, you know. Intercessor number 2, as you can see, it got this like black shadowing everywhere, right? This one is like, I think it's a little bit too much, so this whole figure looks very dark. But this one looks perfect, you know. Remember in Intercessor number 3, they only put very slight black lettering. It looks very plain, you know, looks like a McFarlane figure, right? But this one is very good. Everything is perfect, right? It's not overdoing it, not underdoing it. Everything is good. And for all the gold area, you know, it got brown wash on it. So in terms of paint and finishes, I think this figure is just really good. In general, I really like this Lieutenant with Power Fist Space Marine figure by Joytoy. Yes, it is another Space Marine by Joytoy, but this figure looks really good in my opinion. The Power Fist, the bionic arm, you know, make this figure looks very different from other Space Marine figures. A great showpiece, you know, if you put it on the shelf or for your display, because it just looks so unique as compared to other Marines. And the painting also looks really nice as well. It got nice weathering on it. Also, as you can see in the video, somehow the functional aspect of the shoulder joint also better because it moves smoother and easier compared to other Space Marine figures that I got. So lucky that I got this figure, because at first I wasn't really interested in getting this figure, but now I think, you know, I make the right decision to get it. And this figure isn't too expensive, so it is affordable and it looks really great. So I highly recommend it. Luckily for me, I haven't got any other Lieutenants before, so this is my first one, and I reckon this is the best one out of all so far. This will be the end of this video, and thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you next time. Bye for now.